This mystery illness or mystery pneumonia, which many people think is much, much more than this because China has a history of lying about viruses and illnesses to the world, is rapidly spreading. And who knows how many people have it in China, thousands, millions of children and elderly, and who knows how many people. China has been hiding it for months, and the WHO, the World Health Organization, now knows it, and now the world knows it. And I'm going to give you the details of it here in this video. It's spreading. It is now in more countries, and our family gets a letter in the mail from their school and from the local hospital. I'm going to show it to you here. I'm going to read it to you here. And it's just this whole season and this whole everything is just getting out of control. And here is the letter. I will show you this here in a second, that got sent to our house of the sickness, this new sickness that is going on at my son's school, which is very concerning. I'll get to that here in a moment. And also, how many people are concerned with this mysterious pneumonia outbreak in China. An outbreak is sweeping China and is now spreading outside of China. And people are concerned about how it compares to COVID. And the problem here is that China tried to contain it and not even tell the world about it again, and how this rings back to the previous pandemic. And it makes you wonder, and makes a lot of people wonder, is this the next pandemic? Is this more than just a regular pneumonia because of how quickly it's spreading, how many people are affected? You could just see multiple articles here. How worried should we be about the pneumonia outbreak in China? Reports of a surge in pneumonia-like illnesses, primarily affecting children, but also elderly, in northern China have captured our attention. The last time we heard about a mysterious respiratory outbreak leading to overcrowding in hospitals was the beginning of the COVID pandemic. So it's not entirely surprising that this has caused some alarm. Chinese hospitals are housing another deadly outbreak. And listen to this. Authorities are covering up the spread of antibiotic resistant pneumonia. Antibiotic resistant. Yeah. And if you've seen a lot of the footage or pictures, there are hundreds or thousands of people waiting at different hospitals that cannot see doctors because they are overrun. Hospitals are literally overrun. Yeah, take a listen to this.
Shocking scenes from hospitals in China, overwhelmed with patients with some sort of respiratory illness. The country's health ministry is insisting that this is not a new virus, but it's a combination of the flu and other bad stuff. This is Washington, D.C. Area hospitals and clinics are reportedly seeing an uptick in sick visits. So could the two be connected? And do we need to be concerned here in the United States? Here with his take, Fox News medical contributor Dr. Mark Siegel, who joins us today from Rome. Buongiorno, Dr. Siegel.
First of all, Steve, I got to tell you, the lasagna is pretty good here in Rome, but it is not as good as yours, and it is definitely not as good as Ainsley's. I got to get that on the record. Now,
All right,
in terms
thank you.
of what's happening in China, I want to say this. When you hear that children are being hospitalized in northern China of mysterious pneumonia,
right,
and the WHO is telling you everything is okay, and China's saying no problem, well, here in the United States, excuse us if we don't necessarily believe any of that, because we've been lied to so much by China, and the WHO has carried water for them and did so with the pandemic. However, having said that, Steve, I looked very closely at this, And I think we're experiencing in China what we experienced here last year, which is something called immune pause. Remember they locked down all through 2022?
Right.
Well, you relieve the lockdowns and viruses, upper respiratory viruses, RSV, influenza, COVID, come roaring back. And one more thing, Nature, the journal Nature, has a tremendous article over this week about a bug called mycoplasma, which is a bacteria. And guess what they're doing in China? They're flooding this bacteria with a Z-Pack. And when you give a Z-Pack to too many people, you get a resistant mycoplasma and you can end up in the hospital. So I think the combination of all of those things, especially mycoplasma, is our answer here. But of course, I can't be sure of what's coming out of China.
Sure, and absolutely. And, you know, you take what the WHO says with a grain of salt, you said. But to the point earlier, Dr. Siegel, before you went over to Italy, you've seen here in the United States the number of people with particularly, I was talking to our ENT, Dr. Remsen, the other day. He said everybody who's going to his office has like laryngitis or tracheitis, I think is what he called it. Is that just something that is new, or is this something that, you know, we see every year at this time?
It's new, and I saw a lot of it too. And it's a combination of the things I've said so far, especially RSV is pretty rampant this year. The one thing I didn't mention is strep, and there's a lot of strep around, and we have a shortage of antibiotics for streps, amoxicillin especially. So we're seeing that, and so if you're going to your ENT and you have that raspy throat, he or she needs to test you to make sure you don't have strep, because that's one thing we can really treat. We can treat mycoplasma, we can treat strep. If you're in a high-risk group, by the way, over the age of 60, 65, you should be getting your pneumonia shot, and we also now have an RSV shot out, and flu. So these are things you need to talk to your doctor about and get to the right decision.
Yeah, and if you heard that, one of the biggest concerns here is the truthfulness of China and even the WHO, the World Health Organization. This is exactly how the last pandemic started. They didn't tell us anything. They said there was no problems. Don't worry about it. And the WHO was literally in cahoots with China, and for the longest time, even still today, said, you know, everything was up to snuff. There was no problems. So you can let me know your thoughts here in the comment section. Next, for this letter that I got here, I'll read it. I covered up a little bit of personal information here. It says here, your child may have been exposed to RSV at school. For those who don't know what RSV is, take a look here. Let me know if anybody in your family or anybody you know has had RSV before. RSV can cause more serious health problems. RSV can also cause more severe infections such as bronchiolitis and inflammation of the small airways in the lungs, pneumonia, and infection of the lungs. And it is a common cause of pneumonia in younger children as well. And the letter says here, your child may have been exposed to RSV. We actually called the phone number and found out that several kids in his class actually got RSV and actually ended up staying home, got sick and had it. Please review the information regarding this condition. If your child develops signs and symptoms of this condition, or if you have questions, please feel free to call the school clinic during school hours or call the Children's Hospital at this toll-free number or your child's doctor. It also goes on to have this other paper here that says all the stuff that RSV can cause. RSV can cause more serious health problems, which actually says pretty much the same stuff here, and that it can cause serious health problems. And it kind of makes you wonder here, is this more than an average flu cold season? Is there more going on now? You guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comment section. Is something spreading more rapidly? You also got to kind of wonder here, do we have to worry about not just a cold and flu season? Is it now a cold and flu and COVID season? Cold, flu, COVID, RSV season? Or do we also have to worry about, well, first of all, do we have to worry about COVID being here now forever and mixing with all this other stuff? I personally think yes. I think that virus is now in the mix it's not gone. It's not gone. So first of all, we have that. Second of all, is there a new pandemic virus in China? You guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Let me know. The other thing here is that if something is happening in China, are they telling us the truth? Yeah, your guess is as good as mine because we know they're not going to tell us a damn thing. I mean, they're literally, they're like our enemies. They're going to side with Russia and Iran before they're going to side with the United States and tell us anything. So let me know your thoughts here. I'll keep you up to date. If you haven't yet, make sure to like and share this video. It really helps out our channel. And if you haven't yet, subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on any new video updates. I'll keep you up to date. You can click here to see my previous video on this exact virus and pneumonia that's spreading like wildfire right now. Or click here to see the new attacks against the US by Iran. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.